Welcome.
So today we'll discuss about sorry. On being Black and Middle Class by Shelby Steele. And it's about discussion about I think it's still race. Still about the race and ethnic, something about that. So the first question, what does Steele have to say about how he sees race as connected to class? Hmm. So when I read this story, I like what was he connected the time before where if you're the question is I mean mm, he reminded me of old Malcolm X line that had been popular in 60s. Question is a black man with a PhD and an answer is a nigger. Like they're describing though that person is smart, has all the education he has PhD, he's still defined as nigger. It's something like the race and class, something that doesn't seem change. It's just the opportunity or the social status and the opportunity in America is for African American, right? For African American is something like is also a new challenge as the story tells, and it's not it's not always acknowledging what's the class and status if you're a black American, if African American, it doesn't change.
Says you sees race is connected to class. I think it also talks about like in his conversation with his friend, he says, somewhere in the reading, but it says, what became clear to me is that people like myself, my friend, and middle class blacks generally are caught in a very specific double bind that keeps two equally powerful elements of our identity at odds with each other. Because during this was in the 60s? What year was this?
Oh no, it was
In the 80s.
80s.
So he was writing this from his experience in the 60s. So when he was like in high school, college-ish age, that that he only knew what he knew, and he didn't really experience what his parents or his grandparents had experienced with slavery, because it had already been abolished ish at that time. So him saying that these two equally powerful elements of our identity are at odds with each other, like all African Americans had just come out of slavery, and now they were trying to build up themselves in the society that had oppressed them for many years. So like his dad working hard to help his family become middle class, they were kind of like stuck. Like they didn't want to look back at the people they had left behind, and they also didn't want to look down at them, but also in the society that they were in, the middle class, which was mixed with like the whites, it was kind of like it was still in transition of still, what's the word? The combining of what was it? What's the term called?
I know what you're thinking of, but I can't think of it either.
Integrating.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So like it was still in the transition of like integrating like like both cultures or communities together after what had happened in the country in America for so long. So I think what's his name? Steele.
Yeah.
So I think Steele was like having like an identity crisis in a way in his like high school years after this conversation that he had with a friend or a relative of his. It just kind of gave him a perspective of like kind of woke him up to like the reality of what he was living in. Cause he just thought he was living like a normal life until someone had pointed it out to him that like, hey, you're black and you're also middle class. Like you have moved up in society from where you were at before. And it kind of gave him like a culture shock in a way of like, yeah, his reality. Anyways, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah. I guess this is kind of the next question, which is what difficulties does he discuss about his experiences of being both black and middle class? But like kind of like the same thing you're saying, like he was just like, because he was in middle class and he was black, which was like I think it was pretty rare, right? Like it wasn't
Mhm.
like super
To have
normal.
like
So
African Americans in that level.
yeah, like same level as white people. So I think that was just like different, and it maybe it felt weird because it's like maybe his family members or like friends that were like part of the African American community like were still like in the lower working class or whatever.
Mhm.
But yeah, he kind of like moved up, which is kind of weird to think about. But
Yeah. It's also
Yeah.
said it's very difficult. That still highlights how it's pressure to constantly prove oneself and to live up to certain expectations. And he also notes that middle class blacks may feel that like they have to work harder than the white and counterparts to succeed. Like they have to extra double job, like extra miles than the white doing, and that any misstep or failure can be seen, or anything that happened or mistake that the black people can do happen may be seen and reflected to their entire race. So that's what I think still saying that this can lead to a sense of isolation and anxiety, and as well that he need to constantly perform and conform to certain cultural norms. It's like a stereotype. It's still doing a stereotyping when people or Black American do different things.
Along with
yeah,
that,
it's oh sorry.
oh,
You go
sorry.
ahead.
Like it just says in the reading, that of course when you think about it, class and race are both similar in some ways and also naturally opposed. They are two forms of collective identity with boundaries that intersect. But whether they clash or peacefully coexist has much to do with how they are defined. Being both black and middle class becomes a double bind when class and race are defined in sharply antagonistic terms so that one must be repressed to appease the other. And he also like explained before this that like with the race and the what was it? Race and class, like you either move forward in one and move backwards in one as well, being a middle class black man. Like he said that he can move forward in a middle class kind of society, but he'll start moving backwards in his race, like in the race kind of thing, because then his people
Yeah,
look at him and be like, "Whoa, you're trying to be better than us? Like you think you're better than us because you're moving forward," instead of seeing his movement as like one for all, that they were all
yeah,
moving forward. But he said
Um,
that you can't really you like win some and then you lose some. So like
yeah,
he's moving forward with his race, like trying to help them out, but then it also lowers his class, like his level in what's that triangle thing called? Anyways, that like, the
yeah,
yeah, yes, that thing.
yeah. It's like I think also like the other like what you're saying, like he moves forward um like in the class, but then because he's like maybe less around like more like black people, like it's also like they might see it as like or he's like changing his ways to like move
Mhm.
up, you know, like they might be like, now you're like forgetting about like your roots or like disrespecting like our culture or something, because he's trying to like fit in a white culture way, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because those are the people that are the highest. So it's like he can't win. Like
Yeah, he really can't.
either way, like if you're black, like you're being judged like doubly much. Because
Yeah. But it is true what he said though, like, but whether they clash or peacefully coexist, it has much to do with how they are defined, like the
yeah,
class and the race part.
Do you know, guys, the redlining in the community? Like if they're doing redlining, there's the red area and just one community. There's a one community and then there's a redlining, and then the other community. And then the redlining community is where all the blacks are there, and the other line is the white community. This is this is still happening until now in the United States, like the white. If you are in the redlining area, like, yeah, normally Black African American live there, the bank will not give them a loan to buy house rather than the other community, or the other area, which is the white, which the bank always give them loan. And then this redlining area, the schools are not supported, no funds, and the other schools, the white schools, are funded. There's a lot of activities, and the black area, their education is limited. They stop schooling in high school, and they got opportunity to go college. They have it stopped the progress. And then this is what the my anthropology class also talking. But I want just relate how the stereotyping happening, because people are think the black, because of the lack of opportunity, the education, they think the black people are less intelligent because of that, and the white feels like they are the ones who are upper class. So I think the writer Shelby Steele like argue what's between those two, the communities that happening. And he also persisted, like he shaped what's the white people can do than the black people can do. And then, like what Vani said, the opportunity about you think you're better than us, like that is still happening. Or I mean, he wants, in the story, he wants it to see how white people trying to tell to the Black American community. Are you getting what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Are you
yeah,
answering the third question? Because I feel
It's
like
like,
while you're sharing, it goes with the third question.
yeah, referring for the third question, according to what expectation do whites and blacks are about the black.
Yeah. Because I feel like
yeah,
with white people, kind of the expectation of black people is that they need to like move up, like they have opportunities, they have like access. Well, now, but like probably back in the days, not as much. But they were starting it up. Like his father had to, like how we Ches shared, that his father worked hard to like help the family become middle class so that they can, like, so that his siblings could receive the education and degree of education they got after that. But so I feel like that's what white people expect them to do, is that they have the opportunity, they can move forward. But I feel like with the black community, they also do the same, but they also want them to kind of give back, if that makes sense. Or look back at them and be like, oh, remember us, kind of thing.
yeah,
But it said, like it said in the reading, it said the negative images came largely from the blacks he had left behind because they were going nowhere. And that's the kind of like I would say mentality that that they would have, because a lot of them came out of slavery and they were just like, what do we do now, kind of thing. But then
yeah,
some were already like ambitious and they're like, okay, I'm gonna work hard, I'm gonna make sure my family is financially stable, I'm gonna get any job that I can so that we can get the money and eventually get a house, get my kids into education. Whereas others were just like, well, they expect us to be dumb and stupid, and so let's just do it kind of thing, which is
Yeah.
bad. But like that's what pretty much what Ches was sharing. Like the whites expect them to be a type of way or look a type of way, or act a type of way because that's just what they have been doing for years. And it's sad, like they feel like they haven't proved them wrong, even though they have moved up already. And sorry, I don't know how to put that on me. Yeah.
Yeah.
But one thing is good here in the story that still also suggested that these expectations can create a sense of resentment and conflict between whites and blacks. And each group feels that the author imposing certain expectation and limitation on them. Like he argues that breaking free from this expectation can forging a more authentic and individual identity is a key challenge for Black Americans in the middle class. So, like the conflict, he suggested the expectation of conflict between two communities, like the white and blacks, and then certain expectation and limitation. There's something, oh, black has limitation and whites are expected to grow more than blacks people, and the whites had um more access than the black people has limited access in that.
Oh, where'd you go? Okay. Yeah. Because did you guys read up to the part where they talk about the Sam? I didn't know that this was the reference of the Uncle Sam.
Oh,
Oh,
Javier.
I didn't know that
Yeah.
either.
How it says, where is he? Where is Sam? No one in the family remembers how it happened, but as time went on, the negative images because he talks about the negative and the positive image that they had to like um understand and know to be a middle class black man. So he knew the positives of it, but he eventually learned about the negatives, and part of the negative was the Uncle Sam thing. On sacrifice, Sam never thinks about tomorrow. He wants it now, or he doesn't care. On work, Sam doesn't favor it too much. On children, Sam likes to have them, but not to raise them. On money, Sam drinks it up and pisses it out. Like it just talks about the Uncle Sam kind of image, and that's the negative. And then he goes on to say after that part, I don't think that any of us believe Sam's faults were accurate representations of lower class black life. He was an instrument of definition, not of sociological accuracy. It never occurred to us that he looked very much like the white racist stereotype of blacks. Or that he might have been a manifestation of our own racial self-hatred. And it goes along with what you just said, Ches, like I feel like there was with the negative images or like the negative part of the middle class black man that he had to like learn about. He said that like if self-hatred was a factor, it was not, but for us, a matter of hating lower class blacks, but of hating what we did not want to be. So that's the kind of expectations that, or not expectations, but that's the kind of perspective that they had gained. Because even though slavery was abolished, it was still in different forms. And this Uncle Sam version was one of it, just to remind him. And he said that it could have created self-hatred, but it just gave them an image of what they didn't want to be anymore or what they shouldn't be.
Yeah.
that's do you guys have addition?
It's honestly a good reading. I haven't finished it like properly. No,
Yeah, it actually
I haven't
was really
finished it all.
interesting. I
Yeah.
really liked it says I feel like there's one where is it? I just had it open. Oh yeah. It says I just found this. It's a middle class blacks need to identify racially is better to think of ourselves as Black and victimized than not Black at all. So we contrive to fit ourselves into an identity that denies our class and fails to address the true source of our vulnerability. And I feel like that just kind of like sums up like that side of it, where it's like,
Yeah.
it's like what you were saying earlier, like after slavery, like they were like, they just think of us as stupid and dumb, so that's what we're gonna be. Like that's that one side of it. But then there's also the totally opposite side where it's like, finally, like I could, actually get further in life, or like get higher in life.
Mhm.
And it's just kind of interesting how like different people choose those paths. Like I wonder, yeah, it's just interesting.
Yeah, I feel like it is. Because this has got nothing to do with the class, but like it kind of went along with like our social work class discussion. Like, how can siblings come from the same family and they all act differently? Like
Yeah,
all the outcomes of their lives is all different. And it's kind of the same, not the same, but like it is similar in this is
yeah,
that his dad had chosen after whatever experience he had with the oppression that happened here in America, he went out and he was like, I'm gonna work hard. Whereas like some just stayed and just like still stayed in their little huts and their little humble beginnings. Cause that's what they thought that they could and only could receive or like
yeah,
aspire to. Whereas like others saw things and like saw how things worked and they were like, okay, I'm gonna leave. Like once we get this or like once the laws abolish, like we're gonna leave and we're
yeah,
gonna get a living. We're gonna make a lifestyle out of this. Like, even though we've gone through all of these struggles and so many challenges and painful things, like they kind of turned into better people, and then others just became bitter. And
yeah.
Yeah,
It's
that's
kind
true.
of like, it's weird because I feel like I can see both sides.
yeah,
Like even though like the side where it's like, okay, now I want to work hard, like that seems like the better path kind of.
mhm.
Like I can totally understand feeling the other way where it's like I was just
Yeah,
like,
I'm comfortable here.
yeah, like I'm not gonna try and work hard for a bunch of people that like have oppressed me for
Yeah,
years. You know
I'm
what I
not
mean?
gonna
Like
work
I totally
hard.
understand that side too. It's
Yeah,
interesting.
this is a good read.
Yeah. Do you guys have
This
anything else to add?
I'm gonna
this is like
finish reading it.
there's a lot more acceptance than before. The the the
Yeah, from
government,
the time that Steele was writing. Yeah.
Yeah.
the people, right? Maybe the the one who do the law or something, they are changing, and they or those peoples are not racist and they care about peoples, not just the colors. And it's a good thing that it's changing better than before. There's a lot of discrimination, a lot of racism, and lack of opportunity. And it's really sad how you see the movies and it says true stories. This is just really happened before. And right now we are learning. People are learning and becoming a better person and being kind to others. That is a good thing. And also the stories of this writer, it is a good lesson for us to know what is the history and also know what we should do better now and how can we analyze what the writer trying to say us right now to make a better change for us to do our judgment and do our our own judgment to other people.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well,
I think that is it, all the question, and we called all
yeah.
the. Thank
Oh,
you guys.
Perfect. Yeah. Thanks so much
thank
for meeting.
you. I'm gonna stop it now.